going back to 2000, and damn, this movie's 21 years old now, geez. But it's pitch black, and it was directed by David Twohy, who had previously brought us the fun invasion flick The Arrival. And we're clearly in the future here, and there's a passenger ship that ends up crashing on a desert planet, with Wings Hauser's kid, Childs, Farscape lady, and notorious prisoner Riddick, played by some guy who's usually a tree. The planet has 3 suns, and Riddick has his eyes shined in order to see the dark, and there's some sort of creatures under the ground, and they make a deal with Rids to help get them off-world. So it gets tricky when they find this string of numbers, and she says it's dated from 22 years ago. So the only thing on this that really comes across as a date here might be the last numbers 656, which could be June of 56. So it would be like 2256 or 2556 or whatever. And since that was 22 years ago, the year end now would be something like 78. It turns out that they crashed just in time for there to be this great big eclipse that unleashes scores of the bioraptors, big old pterodactyl-looking things that hate light and eat peoples. They have to get to a rescue ship through a bunch of the creatures, and I guess somehow Riddick has bendy arms that just pop back into place after being broken. Bounty hunter Johns gets munched, and eventually it's down to the Big R, Carolyn, the Holy Man, and the kid. The bad guy makes good and saves everyone, but Carolyn is taken away, and they finally get away and head off into space. Well, that did a lot better than expected, and the character returned in 2004's The Chronicles of Riddick, and this one introduces us to the Necromongers, an evil force, and Riddo is back, hunted by bounty hunters. He says that he knew that they would come for him, and it took them 5 years, so we're that long past the first film. So if that date was correct, then it would be something like 83 now. And a lot of the promotional materials for the film say it takes place 500 years in the future, so I guess that would make it 2583. Imam is also back, and Judi freaking Dench is here, and if you had Dame Judi Dench on your bingo card appearing in a Vin Diesel sequel, you can go ahead and just stamp that square. The Necromongers invade and kill Imam, and their ranks include Maeve and Dredd, and Riddick is something called a Furian, a race of warriors, and he escapes but then gets nabbed by bounty hunters and sent to a prison planet where he encounters Jack from the first film, although she's been recast to Gwen Raiden, and I guess goes by Kira now. And after an elaborate escape involving a severe lack of understanding how temperatures work, and I guess a revelation that Riddick has like a magic blasting power, he goes to face down the Necros, and quick facts, the first film cost $23 million to make, and made more than double that at the box office, taking in $53 million. But this one actually ran a bill of between $100 to $120 million, a huge jump in price. Anyway, Kira gets killed and Riddick stabs the big bad, and because of their belief system, this now makes him the Necromongers' new leader. Also in 2004, a short animated special was released entitled Chronicles of Riddick Dark Fury, which actually picks up right after Pitch Black, and oddly, although the role of Jack/Kira was recast for the feature film, they used the original actress for the voice role here. They end up in the hands of a crew of mercenaries, including Toombs from the sequel, and they manage to escape, but Jack kills someone in order to do so. So to make sure that she doesn't get too corrupted, Riddick parts ways with her and Imam, setting up the events of the second film. So yeah, like I said, Chronicles of Riddick cost a lot of money. Lot, and yet it only grossed $57 million at the US box office, so you can imagine that people were not chomping at the bit for a sequel. But Vin Diesel was, and he actually finagled the rights to the character and fought to make another entry, and at one point putting up his own money to get it made. And it did get made in 2013, simply titled Riddick. Our bad guy is back, and he's looking down and out, stuck on a remote planet, and fighting some of the indigenous species. In a flashback, we see Billy Butcher again, and Rid is betrayed, and it doesn't seem like too much time has passed, so we may just be a short while after the last film. Time passes on the planet as this puppy he adopts there grows up, and eventually a team of bounty hunters comes for him, including Drax. And this screen shows a date up top that reads 4/11/22 AD, which doesn't really line up with anything, but it's closer to a date than what we saw in the first film. So it's our first actual on-screen date, and if we stick to the whole 500 years in the future thing, it would be 2522 then. Starbuck and Shocker show up, and one of the hunters is revealed to be the father of Johns from the first film, even though the actor is only 3 years older than Cole Hauser was. But as per this universe, that could just be the result of prolonged cryostasis. Rid is eventually captured, and his dog is killed just in time for the real threat to arrive with the rain, and these creatures called mud demons attack. So it's kind of like the first movie again. I mean, it's almost exactly like the first movie again, except this time it takes an hour and a half for the monsters to show up. Riddick kills Diaz, and Johns actually saves R's life, and they get off-world. He gets revenge on the Monger who tried to kill him, and it's revealed that Vaco has transcended whatever that means. So now there's no time frame spoken within the movie, so it's hard to place in our timeline, especially since the character info for the film talks about Johns looking for information about his son's death for either the last 10 years or last 12 years. On the Wikipedia entry for the film, they state that it's 5 years after Kira's death, which lines up with him looking for 10 years, so we're gonna roll with that. So if this is 2522, that would place the last film in 2517 and Pitch Black in 2512. Now, there were some other pieces of media with the character. There were a couple of motion comics that filled in a few gaps, like Riddick Blindsided, which was a recreation of some deleted scenes from the film, but they were actually put back in for the DVD release, so it's pretty redundant. There's also some video games that could probably be seen as canon, like Escape from Butcher Bay, which takes place before Pitch Black, detailing his escape from prison and a first encounter with Johns. Another game, Assault on Dark Athena, takes place right after that one. There was also a TV special for Sci-Fi Network called Into Pitch Black, which came out in 2012 and is set 19 weeks after the first movie, so it would also be in 2512 then, but is largely considered to be non-canon, mainly due to an interview with a doctor who claims to have given him his eye shine, but since we now know he got that in Butcher Bay, this isn't correct. Vin Diesel hasn't given up on the character, recently stating that he would like to get a fourth film off to the ground, and claims that there's a script for it, and it will be titled Riddick 4 Furia. But, considering that the first film made a bit of money, but the second film lost a ton of it, and the third film, which cost $38 million, only pulled in $42 million in US box office. I mean, however, it did pull in close to $100 million worldwide, so who knows?
So there you have it. 3 movies. They don't make sense. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the patrons. I'm Groot.